And here we go, everybody, with the Kia Knicks postgame show. Tonight against the Hornets, R.J. Barrett in the first half goes 1 of 8. Second half goes 7 of 9. 18 of his 24 come in the third quarter, and he finishes the game matching a career high with 6 made threes. And the Knicks have now won 7 straight as they beat Charlotte tonight, 109-97. Wow, it keeps going. Bill Pito and Wally Zerbiak from our Delta MSG studios. Alan Hahn joins us from his home studio. Guys, Atlanta won tonight. That means the Knicks are in 5th in the East, a half game behind the Hawks. Hawks in town tomorrow night, pregame 7:30, game time at 8, and on the line tomorrow night, 4th place in the conference.
Yep, and the Hawks also got to get on a plane and fly here, so they're not going to be very well rested. They're on a back-to-back, Knicks on a back-to-back. I love the effort the Knicks played with in the second half. I just saw it in the first half. This game had a lot of good rhythm on the offensive end of the floor. Both teams were knocking down threes. But in the second half, Tom Thibodeau wanted his team to get to playing defense. How about holding them to 16 and 15 points in the third and fourth quarter? That is lockdown defense. In today's NBA, when a team scores 66 in the first half and you shut their water completely off in the second half, that is unbelievable coaching. That is getting your players to get after it on the defensive end of the floor. And that's why this team looks like they're going to be pretty high up in the playoffs.
Man, it's incredible even to think about playing for 4th place right now in the conference with 13 games to go. That's insane. But you know what? I also have to marvel at R.J. Barrett. Let's remember he's 20 years old. Let's remember he's the youngest player on the team, one of the youngest players in the league. And, I mean, a young player goes 1 for 8 in the first half of a game. He can't make a shot. You'd think he'd have his head down. You'd think it would get in his head. You'd think he'd be a wreck emotionally. You couldn't play him. He comes out in the second half like nothing happens. Like his ability to stay in the moment is incredible. And that third quarter was huge. Yes, the Knicks defense, Dice Yoshimoto said this to Rebecca Harlow at halftime about how they're not feeling us defensively. And that's the message that Tom Thibodeau gave them. Well, the Hornets certainly were feeling the Knicks defensively, but the Knicks still had to get something going offensively without Julius Randle having his typical all-star caliber game. And R.J. Barrett was the guy to step up and do it, and that was improbable if you saw his first half. I cannot say enough about R.J. Barrett and that element of him that I don't think we acknowledge nearly enough. The fact that he could just stay locked in, regardless of what kind of game he's having, and come up with big shots and big moments, very impressive.
You mentioned the Knicks D, Wally. 31 points allowed in a half is your best defensive half of the entire season.
Wow.
And Barrett, remember, earlier this year, he had a stretch from downtown where he went 2 of 42. 2 of 42. And yet he's bounced back from that to become a very solid three-point shooter. That was at evidence tonight. But talk about Alan's point, the challenge of a 20-year-old guy in his second year who's unfazed by any struggle.
Yeah, it's impressive. It really is. And you have that belief and that confidence that even though you start the game 1 for 8, it doesn't matter because you know you can make 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. And that's what he did in the third quarter. He came out in that third quarter, he hit that first 3, and look at the ball movement. And look at the way this Knicks team shares the ball. Look at the open looks that he's getting. They look to get him the ball because they knew he was hot. And that's what I love about these guys. I mean, Bullock is another one who's getting good, high-quality looks. And he's getting into a rhythm because his teammates are looking to get him involved and get him going and get him into these type of runs where he can drop 18 points in a quarter. I mean, 18 points in a quarter. You know how much a guy like Julius Randle loves seeing this? That takes the pressure off him. That doesn't allow teams to double team him. That brings another element to the offensive attack of the Knicks where, hey, you can't prepare for Julius Randle. You can't prepare for R.J. Barrett. Now Reggie Bullock doesn't miss if you leave him open. And now you got Derrick Rose slicing and dicing the defense up and breaking down the defense, getting into the paint. This Knicks team is becoming a real problem on the offensive end of the floor with the way they're shooting the ball with 18 threes. To go with the #1 defense in the league, nobody wants a part of this Knicks team right now.
Alan, Emmanuel quickly had gone 5 straight games without scoring in double figures. His 17-point night, all in the second quarter, was key. Without that, they would have been down a lot more than just 6 at the half. That is for sure.
Yeah, and that's where you have to look at, obviously, the bench and what the bench has given you. And Derrick Rose certainly at 17, he was huge again. But Emmanuel quickly, this was so needed, especially, as you mentioned, in the first half, where the Hornets couldn't miss a 3. It was insane. So you had to keep pace somehow, some way. And somebody had to get hot, and it was Emmanuel quickly who did. He got hot. got hot from downtown. He made his 4 3-pointers, and he had that little shimmy going. Look at this one right here. Shot clock was running down. He had nowhere to go, and he's got square, and he got the shot off. And that was, again, that's what he's been throughout this season. That guy that when he makes one, it usually bunches come after that for him, and he shoots with confidence. You never have to tell him twice. You talk about a guy that always believes if he misses one, the next one's going in. It's Emmanuel quickly. And that's why, you heard Mike Breen talk about it, guys, during the broadcast, and how Knick fans, and we all, you guys too, we all see this. We get the interaction from fans, just how much they love this team. Well, why? Why do they love this team? Oh, sure, because they're winning and everybody loves a winning team. But while the great story of Julius Randle is there, a Tom Thibodeau who's got that connection to the 90s Knicks is there, it's also that there's young homegrown players who are playing a huge role in this right now. I mentioned R.J. Barrett and obviously Emmanuel quickly, a first-round pick, having a big role as well. That's why Knick fans love this team.
Yeah, they're easy to root for. They're easy to pull for. And it's just so awesome to watch the complete transformation from last year to this year. And they're a lot of the same players. So that's what's just so eye-opening to me, that the franchise is in a really good place after, some tough times and some tough years. And I just give the powers to that be, Leon Rose and company, and they've done a great job in assembling this team and figuring out the pieces, getting the right coaching staff in place. And, it's been a complete change from last year.
Charlotte, in the first half, guys, 13 of 19 from 3. Second half, 3 out of 20. Emmanuel quickly was good. We had an excellent game, all-around game from Julius Randle. P.J. Washington on Charlotte was good. All of those guys, of course, went to Kentucky. And John Calipari, the Kentucky coach, special guest tonight on MSG PM after the postgame show with Monica and Kaz. So much to talk about with those guys after the postgame show. Up next, though, the postgame comments from Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks now 5 games over 500. They've won 7 in a row.